Shin, what it do, what it do. Once again, cue the woodshed back at ya. I'm the super cool Spartan. My brother Ryan, the super mad Spartan. Didn't have that much to be mad about this past Saturday. A few things here and
There we
there,
go.
but
Good vibes and love.
and our big homie Quaffo, the super connected Spartan. Quaffo.
Yeah, can't call it, fellas. It's a good time. Vibes are high. We'll get into
Yes,
it.
sir.
It's all right. Good time to be right now.
Right. Cue the shed powered by Zilla Sports Network. Yes, sir. Let's get into it, gentlemen. Our initial thoughts to Michigan State, the HBCU edition. That I was at the game live and I went to the tailgate that they had with MSU Black alumni, with PV alumni. It was a good look. Both athletic directors were there, Alan Haller, and the AD for Prairie View, who said that he used to work at MSU in the athletic department. So that was cool. That was a cool connection there. And ran into a few other Spartan alums. To Jeru Calry, he was there in the building. He came to the Black alumni tent. Got a chance to chop it up with him for a hot minute and just watching the game itself live. Great weather, great experience. And I'll just go into my initial thoughts since I'm grabbing the mic right now. But the time, it was very hot out there. Uh, from start to finish, the team looked really good overall. You know, there were some history making plays that was to see live up front, up close and center. Had a very good time there. Uh, Fighting Smiths do their thing live. You, Mr. Connect Martin, what are your initial thoughts from what you saw of the game? From what you
Well,
could
it's
see, I
like,
know you were kind of doing your thing.
yeah. Wasn't on site, but it sounds like it was a great day had by all. Shout out to the university for scheduling at HBCU. Vitally important that we lift up those schools. So that was great to do that. Great to have that sort of atmosphere on campus and sort of a homecoming for folks. So shout out for university doing that. Yeah, from what I was able to watch, watch the game, watch it back again today. Uh, vibes are high, right? Like it's a great first 3 game stretch. They're 3-0. That's the best you can be at this point of the season. Big game coming up, which we'll talk about later in the show with Boston College. Taking one step at a time, but like we're talking pre-show, it's a good thing to have a quarterback, which we have, and it's a great thing to have shifted our expectations from maybe not us. I think we were pretty much in unison at a preview show in terms of thinking this team could have a ceiling of 7 or 8 wins. That's definitely within sight, given the way the rest of the Big Ten is shaking up, the way our team is looking. We'll talk a little bit about the injury bug that's just biting us severely. Outside of that, man, 3-0 is all you can ask for. A shutout for the first time since 2022.
Definitely.
It's really good. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
It was good to see Michigan State go out there and just take care of business. It was never in doubt. For the most part, the game went the way I thought it was supposed to go, and State was the bigger, better, stronger team. We imposed our will. To your point, I'm glad we have a quarterback. And I posed this question off screen, and I, kind of got my answer. I realized that Michigan State is a chaos team. They're one of those teams that's gonna ride the roller coaster, But we got our tickets for the front line. I'm ready to strap in and get on.
Very good assessment there, Brian. That's something I didn't even think about. Us chaos team. With
100%.
I agree with that. That's actually a good what you said about the fighting Smiths, creating chaos.
So we're gonna be a chaos
because
team. October coming up, we starting to actually, we get a little ahead of ourselves, but October starting early now with Boston Colleges. They're looking like it's gonna be a tough five
Formidable,
game stretch now.
formidable opponent on Saturday.
but before we get into BC, let's look at this. Good Sparty, bad Sparty. And we'll just start with the bad since, Mad Spartan always supposed to get the bad out the way first.
Get it out the way, get the negativity out, and then we finish it up with the positivity. Lift ourselves up.
But the really wasn't that bad. I mean, Alice, the main thing is continuing bad is the penalties because MSU did rack up their share of penalties once. And I know that Coach Smith has said in one of the articles I read from his post-game interviews is that eventually, that's going to catch up to them. So really need to hone in and toning down those penalties. At the very least, I think cut them in half. But yeah, penalty bug is still biting us.
Yeah, I would agree
And to
with
your
that.
point, and it's just to kind of pivot off of that, because for all the bad, Jonathan Smith said it can bite us to the next games coming up. I want to talk about turnovers. We didn't have an official turnover in this game, but there was one that was called back. Childs made a poor decision. He threw a ball he wasn't supposed to throw. He probably just ran out of bounds, threw it away, or did anything besides throw it back to where he threw it and it got intercepted. Now it gets caught back because the preview player hits Childs late. We get a roughing the passer, and that negates the interception. But that's not always going to be the case. And I know we're a chaos team. We're going to go up and down with the quarterback. We need to start seeing him reel in some of those decisions. But for the most part, they were good decisions made. But that one interception, no matter when it is thrown, it can lose you a game.
Funny is when we were at the game watching it live, it was funny because everyone saw Childs running to the other side of the field, and he's about to throw the ball. Everyone in the stands was like, "No!" Everyone said that in like slow motion. No. Then, damn, intercepted. But then, like you said, Brian, that
No
did it.
doubt.
So yeah, that was a good bailout because it was like, dude, come on, we're having a good game. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, how
Well,
about
what's
you,
going to happen?
Mr. Super Connector Spartan? What's the bad for you?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's 19. So you talk about the chaos. Part of that is squarely at his feet, right? We go how he goes. If he's erratic, that's gonna cause sort of cascading effects. The defense is remained steady, so that's great. But we're gonna roll. I mean, I'm all for the ride too. I'm right next to Brian in the front row. Like I'm ready for the roller coaster. You know,
Their hands up,
Aaron,
going down.
I'm excited for where this season can go if we can just try to have some modicum of health. But like right now, we are
Yeah,
really
Yeah.
talking about bass party, the injuries on top of the penalties and on top of the should have been turnovers and some of the still the decision making, the injury bug. We are just not a deep team. And so we've lost now two offensive linemen that were going to be contributors for the entire season, Brochus being the latest one. So like not having that depth, you're playing folks that are probably developmental or, we're going to need some time to be groomed in the system. They're called into action. That's going to be a problem, maybe even starting this week against BC, but that's definitely for this next, 5-game stretch. Can we make it through? We talked about it preseason. Can we make it through this stretch healthy enough to kind of complete the season? Because it's going to be a gauntlet, despite records of some of the teams and the way some of the teams have looked. We can be competitive in those games, but the bad part is, man, the injuries are just taking a toll on our team. Especially, I would say that offensive line is the thing that's most worrisome.
because at the game, we actually saw that kid being carted off the field. And at first, live, just so covered up, by the medical staff, we didn't know if it was an injured player from Prairie View or from State. But it happened that all of the MSU team ran to the cart, to check on, the young man who got hurt. And when I read about it, the next day, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, another O lineman. So yeah, to your point, Quafo, yeah, the game of attrition.
Game of attrition.
Have
Yeah.
to just get through that part. Um, like you said, going into this upcoming game and through October, that's definitely a bad Sparty part.
And shout out to Gavin Brocious. It's going to be a long road back. It's a pretty bad injury, but we got your back here in Spartan Nation. Just try to get better, get healthy, and come back as a beast next year. That's all you can do.
We know Spartan Nation always got your back.
Yep.
We do.
The offensive line, like you said, getting thin, getting really thin. We're gonna have probably a true freshman in the two deep for the next coming game, and that's scary business. So we gotta pray for health for the whole team and especially the offensive line.
I ask you guys this question here. It's kind of off script here, but it was something I thought about. So that MSU was in with down O linemen, and you have in true freshmen or developmental players, it's the fire sooner than expected. From a calling standpoint, what do you do as a offensive coordinator to help offset they may have when it comes up in these tougher games? You have to roll Childs out more, outside the pocket, or you have to. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Because you guys are more of the watch the games at a clear eye or more specific eye than I do when it comes to the play stuff. You guys are coordinators yourselves, so.
No,
Not at all.
I know some of the coordinators. I'm not. No, 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 no. I'm happy just being from the peanut gallery here. I mean, I can start real quick and then go to you, Brian. I think, yeah, quick passing, getting the ball out of Child's hands quicker. Some of those design rollouts, like you said, Ken, that makes sense. I think relying on the run game, hopefully, mixing run and pass a little bit more, maybe leaning on the run game a little bit. You had two great backs. We saw the Carter run. We saw at the way Lynch Adams, we've talked about on the show before. So getting that well-established run game will be key to success. Not having to pass protect for 5 and 6 seconds. This is not going to happen, with young people. But I think Brian Lindgren's going to stay aggressive. That's just in their nature. They're going to take gambles on the field. You have weapons in Marsh and Foster. Gates, be coming on. Veiling looks better. Looks like the guy we thought we were getting here. So they're going to take shots. But I think they're definitely going to understand what they have and what some of the limitations up front. And yeah, it's next man up. You just got to figure it out and go from there. I don't know, Brian, if you see it any differently.
Pretty much the same. I don't think you're going to see some of those long play action. Well, you'll still see the long play action. That's the baseline. You're not going to see too much straight drop back, 5-step drop, deep routes because you don't know what you have in your offensive lineman. I know they're bringing in I think it's Fincher. Dallas Fincher is going to be the next right guard. He's an experienced player, but other guys had passed him up, so he's kind of just been filling in as the backup center. He moves over to guard. And like I said before, I think was it Keem Young is repping behind Fincher, and so I don't know. I don't know exactly what Keem Young. I don't know what his specialty is. I don't know if he's more of a pass protector or a road grader. But for those plays that he's in, they're gonna have to do what his specialty is and the plays that he knows. And so if that's hey, the person in front of you needs you to put them on their back every play, well, that's the play call that's going to be for that run play. got to simplify it for them. So we'll see. But I'm optimistic in the fact that we do have somebody with experience playing Big Ten football stepping in, and we just kind of just have to roll with it.
Got it. So let's get to the good because there's plenty of good.
Yes.
There's plenty of good. Like you mentioned, Quafa and Brian, you may have mentioned it too. Of course, the main thing is the shutout. Out in a minute, so it was good to see just the overall domination from start to finish. No letting up, football. From kickoff all the way to the clock coming down to zero. That was the main thing there. 40-0.
Nice ring to it. It was a nice ring to it.
Yeah, they almost looked like a well-oiled machine outside the penalties.
Yeah,
Like they looked very very businesslike. They just went in there. All right, I believe the offense scored touchdowns or field goals in like 5 out of 7 possessions or something like that.
yeah.
So they were efficient. We left points on the field, but it didn't hurt at this moment. We had some drop touchdown passes. But again, I'm gonna come back to it. I'm glad we got a quarterback. Just looking around, just look around the Big Ten. There's some other schools out there who wish they had a quarterback.
Right. Would pay
They wish
good
they could have
money.
went to the transfer portal and got a quarterback, but nope. In their Connor Stallions' hands, they kept pat and they at where they at. So I'm glad we got our Aiden Childs, and he's progressed each game. I know we kind of bag on the turnovers and the penalties, but you can see from game 1 to game 3, he's gotten more comfortable, he's gotten better, and his decision making gets better every game. So it's very hopeful for the future.
Triple facts. Brian, yeah, around the league. I mean, you could pretty much count on your hand what teams have a quarterback and which ones don't. But Michigan State in that category and having a quarterback because, like you're saying, Child, the first game all the way up through now, he's shown improvement, and he is not afraid to throw that ball. Yeah, there have been some occasions where his decision making has been like, but other than that, yeah, it was a very ball down the field, and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to, throw that ball, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
The other good Sparty thing I think I have is shout out. I always shout him out because I love this kid, man. Chuck Brantley, record setting.
Yeah, no.
100 plus yard. What is it? 104 I had down. 104-yard interception.
History making.
Stupid college
Yeah.
stats, they don't do the extra like NFL does, but it
Actually,
was over 100 yards.
over 100 at 104, I think. And not only that, the kid was Pro Football Focus #1 cornerback as using their rating system. So he's had a lot of adversity over the course of his young life, and so I'm happy every time that kid succeeds. So shout out to Chuck Brantley, just balling like he said. He told me this summer he's gonna ball out. He is doing exactly that. So shout out there. Again, we talk about Lynch Adams as part of the good Sparty, bad Sparty. They're gonna need him this weekend against BC. Good to see Nate Carter get loose a little bit. He's starting to look kind of more like he did last year.
Yeah, seeing his breakout run in the end zone, yeah, that was a beauty to see. Most
Nice run,
seeing that.
nicely
In the
blocked.
hole's better now.
Yeah, he is.
Offensive line.
Yep, I agree. And then the last good Sparty is you think about almost 500 yards of total offense again, while giving up less than 200 yards of total offense. That's bananas. Like they locked it down. And I don't care what opponent it is. If you only allow, I think it was like 170 yards, something like that total, less than 200 yards. That's a good day at the office, and so that's another good Sparty for me. This defense, as we talked about, has really, again, there's too many penalties we talked about, and they know that in the building for sure. But if they can clean that up, they got a great chance in this 5-game stretch. They can stay healthy, clean those penalties up. They got a great shot to go if we're including BC, 3-2, maybe even 2-3. Where I think a lot of people preseason probably had them losing all these games coming up. They've got a great shot to
2-2.
come. Yep, 2-2. Well, yeah, if we include BC, I'm including them. So really, it could be 3-2. The top end 4-1. So there's a good shot. There's a lot of silver linings with the way the team has performed.
Yeah, that defense has been a very pleasant surprise. I want to say I haven't looked at the stats, but I heard this. They're at least top five in rush defense. They give us like something like 2.8 yards a carry. And I know we haven't played the best of schedules, but to hold teams that low, that's what Maryland tried. They had a 5 point yard something per carry before they played Michigan State. Shut them down. Each school we've seen, we shut them down. So hopefully, BC, if the defense is real, it looks like we're real, we're going to shut them down too on the run game, and so that will definitely go a long way in helping us win.
For sure.
That defense has been very surprising because, like you, Brian, they've been laying that wood big time, and watching the interview game through that backfield quite a bit, sacking PV's quarterback. And just from my recollection, at least, maybe 5 good sacks on that guy. And if they sack him,
tackles for loss.
Yeah, a lot of tackles for loss. So they're getting that backfield quite a bit. And they were not able to run the ball on Michigan State at all. They had a couple of passing plays that got them first downs. Yeah, defense is really good, really good. So I know now Joe
Had
Rossi.
Two really good receivers on the outside. The 6'4" guy, this Savage, another guy. They were balling.
They were, but I know 3 weeks so far we've been shouting out Joe Rossi. Gosh, I'm on again because he's got defense humming. And one thing I think fares well for Michigan State as we started getting to this slate of tougher games, that defense travels. So, those games that we're on, away, at the very least they'll keep us in the game. I mean, they have like with the Maryland game, for example, where, some things kind of broke here and there, it took a minute for them to kind of figure Maryland out. But once they did come the fourth quarter, they pretty much shut Maryland down. So defense will keep us in games. It's just a matter of the offense doing their part, especially on the road. Because, outside of BC, we're at Oregon, and we're at that team down the road, which that game, as we get closer to it, is looking more and more manageable, I'll say. But I'll save that for the Michigan week. But defense, definitely shout out to them. Any other good Sparties you guys can think of? We had the shutout. We had the 104-yard history-making interception by Mr. Brantley.
You know what? We mentioned Rossi. I want to shout the whole coaching staff because usually when you have games like this and you're putting in your third and fourth strings and your walk-ons, there's a drop-off. There wasn't that much a drop-off for Michigan State. They went out there. They all executed the same. So that's coaching because you don't get a shutout in a game like this without having your people in order. And so I just want to give a shout out to the coaching staff in general for keeping everybody on track and taking this game seriously. And there were some scares, PV got into our territory, but no points on the board. And that's always a difficult thing to do in college football.
Well, and just a bit piggyback on that, Brian, too, and we'll add this last good Sparty, again, shouting out that coaching staff. You think about those reserves that are coming in that are probably going to play a role this season at some point, the way the thing going. But you got like Tommy Schuster, he looks serviceable as a quarterback. You talking about
Yes,
teams that don't have a quarterback? How many teams would take a Tommy Schuster right now to be their
all of
quarterback?
them.
You know what I mean?
Love them.
So, and then even the receiving core, D line, linebackers, like you said, the coaching staff. And I talked about this because I could see this during the summer, see this in the spring. Like this is a professional staff. Like they know what they're doing. They might not win all the games. They probably aren't going to win every single game this year, but they won't be like out schemed. It's probably because they don't have enough talent in the cupboard just yet. But give them time. But they know what they're doing, the way in which they coach you, the techniques up, the blocking scheme up, the way they wrap tackle, like they know what they're doing, and you're seeing it from player 1 to player 100 on the team.
Let's talk about Antonio Gates Jr. too, because he got in time, the Schuster. He looks good. He looks really good. I could definitely see him getting time on the field, with Childs as the season progresses, because getting into those games against bigger opponents, I Antonio Gates Jr. being a player that you can probably get in a few plays here and there if you try to offset or kind of the the offense, let's say of Ohio State or Iowa, let's say maybe college, I don't know, but I can see Gates getting more time on the field, as the season progresses.
I know one thing, you got to earn it, right? And so he's doing a better job, I think, of making sure he does what he has to do in that wide receiver room. And so you got to earn it. Nothing's given, and so he earns it. He earned the clock, and so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I agree with you, Ken. He has a great shot to hopefully be a difference maker before the season's over. As teams start to roll the coverage to Marsh, maybe roll and bracket some of the coverage with Velling as a chance for Gates to shine. I mean, he's got the pedigree, right?
Yes.
So it's a great opportunity for him.
Agreed. Any more thoughts, Mr. Super Mad Spartan, for good Sparty?
Let's move on to the next. A lot of too much goodness. Let's head a different direction.
Ah, yes, and that different direction is word on the street.
Yeah.
Mr.
So
Super Connected Spartan, what's the word on the street?
like we said, so far so good. Vibes are still high. Getting a shout out like I did. We got the shout out to my guy Chuck Brantley back there. A shout out to some of those DBs. Those are guys that get a chance to engage with. But yeah, vibes are high, man. Vibes are high. It's a great day for football in East Lansing. Great, like I said, great opponent. People are just sticking to the plan. There is no, like us as people talking about the games or fans and all that stuff. Like we're looking at this 5-game stretch. Everybody in the building is like, what do we got to do this week? What do we got to do this week? Like there is no looking forward, talking crazy, almost like an embargo of sorts, right? Where they are super focused. Like people are just locked in a great way. I think coming off of last year and all the tumult and chaos, like it's really just refreshing to see guys are locked in, coaches are locked in. Like there's not the like, what's gonna happen? Where am I gonna go? Everybody's just boom, singular focused on the opponent this week. So like obviously this week it's like BC, like you all mentioned, I think Brian, you mentioned it. There was no let's look ahead and look past Prairie View as a HBCU or a lower division school. No, there was like, we got to handle this business. We'll deal with Boston College when it's their time, right? And so we know if they can pull this Boston College game off, what looms the next week, very big time showdown. We're all pre-show. We were talking about that. That's not what they're talking about in the building. The building is the opponent that's on the clock in front of them, game planning, scheming for that opponent, which I love to see. Like there's no looking forward. What happens if? Well, you know what happens if you don't play well, there is no on the other side of that, right? So that
Good story.
everybody is locked in. Coaching staff, support staff, everybody is locked in. I love to see it.
Dope. Super, super dope. So, talking about Boston College, let's just get into a preview of B. I know that they're coming off a loss at the score. It was a pretty tough game. I think they lost by 6.
They gave Missouri a scare. They were winning a lot of part of that
27-21.
game.
Yep.
And, MSU, like at Maryland, they're an 8.5 point underdog. You know, Boston College. Already that feeling of, yeah, MSU is going to take a loss. Say that, but, those for all you people who like to do the betting thing, Vegas, that's thing. But Boston College, yeah, they've been pretty good from what I've seen. I know that they beat Florida State, who you talking about a team that wants a quarterback,
Hasn't beat
boy.
Florida State right now.
You talking about a team that's missing a quarterback. Woo.
Yep. Money doesn't buy what it used to buy. NIL money doesn't buy what it used to buy.
Right.
You got to get a
This
refund. The players fund.
But yeah, this is going to be a tough game. Very tough game. It's a night game, so yeah, this is not going to be a gimme game for sure.
It's the red bandana game for them, so
I
it's
was
a special
just
thing
gonna
they've been
say that.
doing.
It's the red
Yeah,
bandana game.
it's a huge deal they've been doing for over a decade now, and so this is like their big nighttime
Yep.
get together, go crazy
Yep.
game, and so it's going to be a very tough environment for Michigan State. And I was
Correct.
just kind of just looking at some things about Boston College's. Their defense is very similar to Michigan State. They stop the run. The DBs have been pretty good. So I personally think the game's going to come down to our offense versus their defense. I think our defense is good enough to slow up Boston College because their quarterback is not the most accurate quarterback, but he's a very good athlete. And so when you have an athlete at quarterback, those runs are going to clear defense. But I'm going to trust in Joe Rossi. I feel like they take a couple series and they kind of adjust, and hopefully that trend continues. But again, I feel like it's just going to come down to, all right, what is Michigan State going to do on offense? Are we going to be consistent? We're going to have to lean on Childs because our O line, their strength hasn't been running the ball, and BC's strength has been stopping the run. So we're going to have to use the pass to set up the run. So it's gonna be a game.
Yeah,
Slobber knocker.
for sure. Like
Pinch
you
trap
said,
game.
that red bandana game, man, they bring out. I mean, I think it has the ties back to 9/11 and stuff like that. So it is a big deal up in Chestnut Hill. Castellanos at quarterback. You're talking about, yeah, he's definitely run first before pass first. But you saw what they did in the national audience to Florida State with Castellanos, with Treshaun Ward, and with Robichaux. That backfield of the two runners and the quarterback, they are going to be hard. But that plays into what our defense has been good about this year about stopping the run. What they did against Maryland and their good running back Roman Henby. So offensively, it's definitely a run first. Bill O'Brien, former NFL coach, he's got ties. He's been around the block a lot. I remember him on Hard Knocks when he was with Houston. Strange individual, but he's their head um, he's their head coach. He's gonna have them fired up. Like he said, Chestnut Hill there in Boston is gonna be jumping. Any East Coast Spartans are watching this. If you're in Massachusetts, please don't be a masshole. Go up there and help us out, please. We need all the support we can get. That's gonna be a tough environment to play in. But all what you said, Brian, is spot on. It's really gonna come down to, can our offense move the ball? Can we limit turnovers? Can we limit penalties? We'll be in there well within whatever the 8 points or 6 point, whatever the spread ends up being. They have a great shot. I tell you what, the building doesn't feel like they're not about to get on the plane to go out there with the intention to lose, right? Like
No.
they're ready. They're not listening to whatever, ESPN bet or any of these. They're ready to go knock.
PI.
Yep. Ready. And so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a great atmosphere on the ACC network. I think we got.
See network,
You have
yep.
to find that channel.
Yeah, you got to find that. Get you some Hulu or something like that. Shout out to Hulu if you want to sponsor Cue the Woodshed. We'll take that. We'll take that. But get you some Hulu or some YouTube TV, some Fubo. Find the ACC network because it'll be definitely worth tuning in against a very formidable opponent. BC is probably one of the better teams in the ACC. Really, now that we've seen the season play out, I think they're every bit as good as like a Clemson at this point. And probably as
Dabo,
good.
I don't take transfer Sweeney.
Oh, so about Dabo, man. Oh boy,
Yeah.
BC will be a good challenge, and if we can get by this game, it will be well earned. This is not going to be a gimme at all. This will be well earned if they can pull this one off.
Agreed.
Helps too is that with MSU beating Maryland at Maryland, bodes well for them. If MSU would have lost at Maryland, I would have been like, well.
This would
But
be the toughest crowd they faced. Because I know Maryland, their football support is not like all time high. And you could hear the Go Greens, Go Whites when we played them. Boston College will not be like that. They'll be there. They'll be wild. It'll be BC, whether there's their crimson and gold, whatever the colors are, all night long.
that agreed. And I think doesn't ESPN is don't they own the ACC network?
That they do. Yep, they do.
Another ACC, they post all their games on YouTube, so I'll be looking forward to seeing the game fully on YouTube instead of
All
having it pop
legally.
on my
All
DVD-R.
legally. It's all legally. It's all legal.
All legal, all legal, all
It's the
legal.
ACC network post. It's their official site, so yes, all legal.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, yes. Gentlemen, it's time to fool you guys once again for the MSU Fun Football Fact. Defeated so far.
Let's lock in.
Yeah, y'all got to lock in, boy. Got to lock it in, lock it in.
Get my phone out, start cheating. Call me Connor Stallions.
Brian, the super funny Spartan now.
Funny what happens when you don't know the plays. Funny how that happens. It's like
Yeah,
playing.
I know, right? Don't look quite the same.
That was funny.
Right. So, as we know, Charles Brantley, he made history this past Saturday with that 100-plus yard return, from an interception. This question is the career interception leader at Michigan State?
This one's tough.
Like I should know this. Career leader.
I mean, I want to say someone who just went in the Hall of Fame, right? He just went in this weekend, part of the no-fly zone. Shout out to Darquez Denard, but I don't know if he had a lot of
I
picks.
don't think it's Darquez though. That's the first thing that popped in my mind.
I
Not gonna
know.
lie. Darquez has the first one, like Darquez Denard.
Let's think about this. DBs.
Oh no.
I'll give you guys a hint. When I looked this up, it took me a minute. I was like, what? So this is one of those fun football facts that, that this is like way back in the day. So
I figured it'd be someone
so
way back then. Okay.
Yeah, so the guy who is the interception career leader at Michigan State, his name is Lynn Chadnonis. Or I'm sorry if I'm butchering your last name, sir, but it's Lynn Chandonis. I'll spell that for you guys. It's CHANDNOIS. First name is
We could have been here.
Lynn.
Okay.
He
We could have been here all
played
night.
he played at Michigan State from 1946 to 1949.
Yeah, no,
He has 20 career interceptions.
Well, that's a grip. That's a lot.
that's a lot.
Was he even throwing the ball that much back in the day?
I guess so. For
First
Guess
of
he
all,
was
Mr.
catching all the passes.
for Mr.
no,
Lynn Chandonis to be the career interception leader at Michigan State. INTs.
man, we're down bad, Brian. Next week we gotta come. We gotta come strong. This is bad. This is really. These are
But this is why we do it, so we can educate the people and ourselves.
exactly.
Educate
Exactly.
people and ourselves, yes. And to Quaffo, I did think of Darquez Denard as well. Yeah, with this fact, I was like, whoa. So,
Yeah, I think he's fresher in our mind. He just won the Hall of Fame. Shout out to
Yes.
Quez. Know a lot of your team.
He did.
He just won the MSU Hall of Fame, so that's probably why it was on our brain like that.
So, we're educating our fellow Spartans and just football fans in general. And I will keep saying this, MSU football is not just same old Sparty. They have a very rich football history, despite what anybody says. So, before we leave, my son Ethan, Mr. 8-bit,
Our beat maker.
our beat maker.
Shout out to
8-bit Williams here. He wants to get on the screen just to say hi. So this is your chance to say hi and bye to Spartan Nation here. We're about to end our show. With some fresh new beats for the show.
Ethan in the lab. Cooking it up.
Yes, sir.
Cooking it up.
All right, time to get ready for school, son. Q the Woodshed definitely is a family affair here. So, Mr. Quaffo, when you want to bring on your daughters, you're more than welcome to.
For sure.
Family program. Sure. A few adult words said here and there, but hey, that's what being a football fan is.
It's probably said.
Yeah, there may be a lot of explicit in that week, but we'll save it till then. In the meantime, Cue the Woodshed. Make sure y'all check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Prime, all of the other streaming podcast platforms. We're everywhere now. We're like Tricks. We're like Neo. We're like Agent Smith. We're omnipotent. So make sure y'all check us out. Hit those subscribe buttons for sure.
We gotta go.
All right, I'm Ken, the super cool Spartan, with my brother Brian, the super mad Spartan, but he was mad happy this past weekend, and me, Quaffo, the super connector Spartan, Zilla Sports Network. We out there. Go green.
Go away.
Bye.